everybody calls themselves a founder, builder, creator, solopreneur. Everybody's got a podcast, myself included, however. But you work with enough early stage companies to see behind the curtain. That's a critical component. You start to see where the dirty laundry is. What does building actually look like versus what people post about it?
I think it's heavy. It's not all shiny and full of successes that we see on LinkedIn. Obviously, sharing your failures and learnings has been more popular in the recent years because we all want to be more authentic.
But is it actually more competition or just more noise? Because those are two very different problems with very different solutions, I would say.
So I think what we're fighting for is we're fighting for the attention of our audience, and they don't really care if this is noise or competition. Like, I don't think everyone sees the difference.
Everyone would say the messy growth. If you ever hired a marketing person and wondered why nothing really moved, or launched a product and watched it disappear pretty much into the void, or stared at a list of 47 things you need to do and, well, done absolutely none of them, this episode is for you. My guest today is Basia Derkowska, fractional CMO and go-to-market advisor for early stage B2B SaaS founders. She's not an agency. She's not a consultant who hands you a deck and just disappears. She's the person who founders call when they need someone to actually help them go to market, build something that lasts, and occasionally talk them off the ledge when it all feels a little bit too much. She's also one of the co-founders of the Growth Meetup in Wrocław. Well, now it's been extended over to different cities. Stay tuned for that. Which, if you haven't been to, is hands down the best event of its kind in Poland, and I will die on that hill. Naturally, this podcast YouTube thing wouldn't have been possible if it were not for that event and inspiration that I got from there. So Basia was actually one of the first guests on the show. Yeah. Wow. There you go. Back when I had no idea what I was doing. Well, spoiler alert, I still don't know what the hell I'm really doing. She was generous enough to show up anyway and support this. So I really appreciate that. Now she's back solo, and we're going deep into what it actually means to go to market in 2026. Things have changed. Why go to market became kind of like the buzzword everyone's obsessed with recently. Why most founders freeze instead of move, and what distribution and brand actually mean when everyone and their dog is now a builder. So no fluff, let's get into it. Basia, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a lovely intro, as usual. I'm a biggest fan of your channel. Obviously, you know, I'm tracking every single new follower you get from each of your new episodes. So nice to be on the show again. Kind of wait.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. No, it's great to have back. You know, it's kind of funny. If you look back 9-10 months ago when we started the whole thing, this channel got started, and I was talking to you on the train back from Wrocław, and I was pitching this idea for having a podcast and everything. You were very supportive. Our lives have kind of evolved. Like back then I had 0 subscribers. Now, like you said, it just kind of has evolved and it got a life of its own. So it's funny. And you obviously have been doing a lot of cool things. Last time you were here, you were running Growth Meetup, still are doing in-house marketing. I think at that time, and please keep me honest, you were dipping into the fractional role. I just would kind of understand a little bit more on that front. That what was the moment that made you decide, hey, I want to go fractional. I want to work with a lot more business to just one and keep things rolling where you're the kind of like the boss for us.
Yeah, I do remember our conversation about the beginning of Messy Growth. And one thing, just before I answer, one thing that really struck me back then is you saying you have to do it yourself because you are that fast and you have to go once. And if I can say anything about you, are definitely very fast and persistent. And I think this is the biggest reason why Messy Growth is such a successful channel. So well done on, oh my goodness, like reaching more than 100,000.
I mean, like
crazy.
It's almost 140K, but who's counting? Who looks at that?
I mean, tourists. We all do. But yeah, like answering your question, what made me want to go fractional? I think I always wanted to do something on my own. There's this urge to do something that has your name on it. You want to have full control over your time, the things you work on, and basically lots of freedom to do what you want to do with your life, your time, decisions you want to make. So it was always there. I think I was just waiting for a slight push to do it. And something that definitely helped was just some people from my network reaching out and asking, Basia, you might be interested. I have this opportunity going on. There was one person that we both know, Me Griffin, who back in the day asked me, Me Griffin, nice, first mention. one of the speakers of Messy Growth, who once asked me if I would be interested in doing some mentoring. And that was back when I was still doing in-house marketing.
All right.
But I think this gave me the confidence to open myself to other opportunities in the future. So once I had the time to really think about what I want to do with my career, with the next step, I was like, okay, I already tried this once. Why not open myself to other opportunities that are just coming my way? So another friend came with another proposal, and then from one ask to another ask to another person from my network. I think it just happened very organically. But you definitely have to be ready for the opportunity when it comes. I don't really believe in pure luck. I believe you have to be ready for the luck to come. So if you're thinking about starting something, that's just on starting something, maybe a new project, just keep getting ready for it. When an opportunity comes, you might be ready for it.
Yeah, it's funny. I love Mick, by the way. He's fantastic. He's been such a big part of my professional career. So I can totally see him kind of like trying to play people up and get them to obviously go out and do things. It's an interesting thing. I saw this post today, and in that post, somebody was talking about how people want to go ahead and do things similar to yourself. Like they want to do something where their name is on it, but they keep saying, "Hey, I'm going to start on Monday, and I'm going to start on Monday, and I'm going to start on Monday." And Friday comes, Saturday comes, Sunday's over, Monday starts, and that Monday keeps on repeating for years at end. But that Monday where they actually sit down and end up doing things,
Yes.
that never really happens. I'm assuming it's because people like to cruise on drive wherever the situation in life. It's tough. It's hard. You said something interesting. Your network came to you and kind of like gave you those early validations. For the folks that don't have that might not have the network expensive as you. I mean, you've spent a lot of your career naturally conversing with people, building that network up. For folks who don't have that, but feel like they have that talent to be able to go ahead and do things, what would you say to them?
I would say just start selling what you want to offer. This is like the second thing that I went for. Obviously, I had the network or had some validation from my friends, but at the same time, any business that is being started doesn't exist at the beginning. So
Sure.
I would just say, even if you don't have a website, you don't have a brand, obviously you don't have anything yet, just go and shape your offer, post a LinkedIn message, or just doing a simple
Yeah.
outreach to 10 different companies and say, you have the company and this is what you already offering, and see what
Yeah.
happens. And this is the best thing that you can do. You can just, I don't want to call it fake it till you make it, but
Oh.
rather start selling before it's being sold for the first time, because there's
Yeah.
always have to be the first sale.
So we're both based out of Poland. I know you know the company 11 Labs. A lot of the folks that are listening probably know them too. Interestingly enough, I read this, and I'm assuming this is true, that 11 Labs did not exist 4 years ago. And in that 4 year time span, I mean, I think they're worth what, 10, $11 billion at this particular moment in time. That's how, I mean, it's not luck naturally. They had a great product, great execution, but that's all it takes. You sit down, you get your head in the game, you continue to, like you said, sell it out. And you don't need long or a longer time period in the age of AI, the age of tech that we have as advanced as it is right now. You just need to play your cards right, and you never know what actually ends up happening. It might be transformational, for the most part. So I was naturally, before prepping for this call, I was going through our last episode, trying to understand what we could potentially talk about. And there was something interesting you said. You had to unlearn a lot of things when you try to go in fractional. I mean, it's just a completely different ball. You don't have that safety net of a paycheck coming in. I mean, you're dependent on clients naturally. You have to build your own schedule. For some people, it's freedom. For other people, it's very difficult to do. For the most part, 9 months in, what's the hardest thing you had to unlearn?
I think I was treating this only as being a person inside a company, being basically someone working for someone, and transforming this into treating my clients as clients, not only my employee or my partner. And this is a big transformation, because in the past I only had one company I worked with. My entire calendar was just for one company, for one product.
Sure.
And I was always like that since I started working with tech businesses. once you go fractional, once you become any sort of advisor, this changes. Like you have to understand that these are obviously your the products you are selling, the companies you're working with, but these are also your clients. So you do have to remember that there is a certain relationship between both sides. This is one thing. So like the business side, but also the fact that once you go fractional and once you become an advisor, there has to be a really strong partnership between both sides. And this is what I believe in. I don't really go into any sort of collaboration with any company if I don't sense we have a potential to have a solid partnership. Because if a fractional CMO, a fractional head of marketing, no matter the title, works for a company and they don't have this partnership relationship, it's going to be very, very hard to make any decisions and use the time we have wisely. It's basically hiring someone, like hiring a very, very expensive intern because you are not giving them any space, any freedom. So if you are hiring a fractional, by the way, if you are hiring any leader, it's actually very, very flexible. If you're hiring anyone for a senior position, you have to give them the trust and freedom to make their own choices. And obviously, it's going to come at a cost. Sometimes they'll make mistakes. Sometimes the market will validate. Maybe the idea we have will not land well. Maybe it will not bring the results we wanted, but we'll learn. And if the person is really senior and they have the experience and the tools, they will make good conclusions from it and then push toward another bet or another project. So the partnership side is so important if you are going fractional or if you are studying any leadership role at this point.
It's pretty curious, naturally. Like we talked about, a lot of folks want to go fractional because of the freedom aspect of it. But I'm assuming there is a perfect time to actually go fractional. Now, I'm curious about your answer in the sense that, is that a better thing to do when you go ahead and start your career, midway through your career, or you kind of feel like you have enough accolades? Because you talked about being an adult in the room. Like you got to go in, you have to be a go-getter. You can't wait for instructions. You're now essentially operating as your own unit, and you got to make sure that you talk to the founder, talk to other teams, help them get to the results as fast as possible in a streamlined manner. That requires experience. Where in the journey, let's say, of your career, do you think it's a good idea, from your experience, from basically other folks that are fractional that you spoke to, is a good idea to jump in and transition into that particular role, or at least give it a try?
Yeah, this is a very important question, especially right now we see, at least I see in my bubble, lots of people going freelance, fractional. The term fractional became really popular. I think, in the past year, like it's crazy. Everything now can be fractional, but I do see the difference between freelance, fractional, full-time, and something that you mentioned is really important, the experience. So I wouldn't recommend going fractional at the beginning of your career to nobody, because it would be, for me personally, it would be a disaster. A fractional comes with so much responsibility. You have to be your own boss, basically. So if you cannot handle your own onboarding, if you cannot handle your own research, if you cannot handle a funder, by the way, like that's the thing. For the partnership to work, you have to have the confidence, the authority. Yeah. You have to be able to build it with the founder you're working with. So if you still feel very junior or your experience is not big enough to handle big conversations, make big decisions, then I don't think it's a good idea. It doesn't mean you cannot do part-time or freelance, because there's a difference. Freelance, you can always do a project on the side, obviously, if your employee is okay with it. You can always go do projects. You can always go and have, 2 different part-time jobs, but you still have a leader above you that will send you a brief, will review your work. So you work more like a freelance marketing specialist, maybe someone doing an outreach. Different roles can do freelance. Video editing is a great example for freelance roles. Yeah. But you don't handle, you don't have to be responsible for the end results. You don't have to be responsible for how the entire company performs in terms of leads generated or revenue we got this quarter. So definitely gather some experience, try different roles. I would recommend having the role you want to go fractional full-time before you go fractional. So in my case, I had an opportunity to be interim marketing director for a while. So that was my first try handling the entire area, being responsible for the plan execution. It was back when I was in game analytics. That was a very short period, but it was really fun. And I realized I definitely want to go into leadership roles. I definitely want to go and try something bigger than just being a manager. And
Mhm.
once I had this opportunity, I landed as head of product marketing, and then I became a marketing director at Cervicate, which was, I think, the most important role before going fractional, because it gave me the full exposure into the CMO role, handling the entire marketing department, being responsible for what we achieved, what we didn't achieve. So all the responsibility, all the exposure, working with funders, getting feedback, giving feedback, hiring people, firing people, all the really difficult decisions you have to make. So then you can advise, and then you can try and doing this a bit faster, because fractional is basically you doing the same job, but slightly faster, maybe on a smaller budget and with multiple companies at the same time.
I guess what I'm hearing from you is that you first got to make a few mistakes in order to be able to come up to a stage
Yes.
where you now can make decisions a lot faster because you know, or at least have a very good idea what this looks like from the other side for
I
the
think
most
it's,
part.
I think it's like a muscle. You have to build your
There you go.
ship muscle.
Sure.
Then obviously the market will change. We are going to have new
Oh,
tools.
yeah.
AI will take over the world, but you still have yours and your muscle, and you can make decisions very quickly because you just know which way to go.
Absolutely. I can see it from people listening to this right now, like just gauging based on what a few words you use freedom. Like you guys get to decide when you work and the founders. Folks start to romanticize. Think of it that way. I mean, people look at the company, oh, I could build that. I could use, I could build that. I could get that $1 million or $7 million in Series A, Series B, or seed round or what have you. Folks start to romanticize this. But I'm assuming there's a part of this now. You've been here long enough in this role to know that it requires a lot of those skills, not only on the leadership level, but you got to know how to sell. I mean, at the end of the day, you're selling your services. So while your network can come in handy and word of mouth plays a big role, to get to that stage where you have this freedom and structure and you can have your laptop by the sea and work, you need to be able to go ahead and showcase your skills and do all those different things that naturally, if you're a CMO, you wouldn't have to, because
Oh
you're at
yes,
that point, you're focusing on that.
100%. And it's not all, I definitely don't want to promote let's go fractional, everyone.
Sure.
It's not for everyone. I mentioned this at the beginning that something that I had to unlearn is that I'm just a marketing leader, because now I'm also running my own business. So as you mentioned, you have to go and sell, you have to create your own contract, you have to negotiate, you have to create proposals. So you are both the
Exactly.
salesperson, you are also the legal of your team.
Yeah.
And this is not an agency. So you don't have like 10 people working for you that you can just delegate all of those things to. You have to do it yourself, unless you want to transform what you do into an agency, which is also a nice next step if someone wants to grow fractional into a more something that can just be scale slightly faster. Because what differentiates fractional from agencies is that fractional, I'm selling myself and my skills and my experience. So if you are buying my services, I'm going to be there for you. It's not going to be my team who maybe I just hired. It's going to be me and what you bought you are getting. So this is, I think, like the biggest difference.
And no dig on the agencies. I mean, I know a lot of companies prefer to work with the agency. Yeah, I know a lot of agencies that are fantastic. I really enjoyed working with them. But some people prefer that personal touch. They want a personal in that capacity, fast-paced, with experience to go ahead and do things. And this is the point that you were making. Really like it. Not everyone's cup of tea. So please, I think the best advice that I took out from what you said, try it out first. See, don't test the depth of the water with 2 feet. Try to figure out if this is something you can survive in before going all in. So fantastic.
Definitely worth testing out.
I want to ask you this. Everybody calls themselves a founder, builder, creator, solopreneur. Everybody's got a podcast, myself included, however. But you work with enough early stage companies to see behind the curtain. That's a critical component. You start to see where the dirty laundry is. What does building actually look like versus what people post about it?
I think it's heavy. It's not all shiny and full of successes that we see on LinkedIn. Obviously, sharing your failures and learnings has been more popular in the recent years because we all want to be more authentic. With AI, everyone wants to show the human side of themselves. So we do see more funders sharing what they didn't achieve, but still, I think the majority only talks about when things go really well. And then there's this never-ending doubt: am I making the right choice? Am I spending the budget in a right way? Should we hire someone else? Should we fire someone? So there is so many different opportunities, and this is what I actually see among founders who come to me in the first place. They have too many choices. There is yet another tool. There is obviously AI evolving so fast. New clients coming, new partnership, and they just don't know where to go. And you find yourself as a founder that obviously you can do everything, but if you do everything, you do nothing, and you just like end up going back and forth and running like on your like to the left and to the right, and then it's just a huge mess. And then we have a messy growth, obviously, and brilliant, interesting episodes with Said. But yeah, like these funders, they have it so tough because of the abundance that we have these days. You can literally build anything you want. You don't really need a team. You don't really need any investment at the beginning. You can just spend a couple of bucks and build your own product. But then so many opportunities come your way. It's insane. So what I love doing with funders is being their accountability system, helping them prioritize, just listening and brainstorming different options. And sometimes I'm not really only a marketer or a go-to-market advisor. Sometimes I'm just this second brain. You want to you discuss the ideas you have, and almost like a friend, a colleague, you want to just go through things you have in your head. And it's fine. And I think this is also very important for founders to just talk with someone. It doesn't have to be a fractional CMO. It doesn't have to be an advisor. You can just have your own community of funders. You can have your own bubble. You speak every other week. But it's so important to give yourself a space to decide, okay, which way I'm going next and which options will hear no from me to start with.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. You mentioned something interesting about competition. Competition is crazy right now. Be products, tools, people, like you said, folks are trying to go fractional, more freedom. I think this whole journey of fractional kind of like really took off post-COVID when folks start to realize, hey, shit, we have flexibility. We could do this and we can work from home and we can work with multiple different companies as opposed to one. Kudos to everyone who's doing that. But is it actually more competition or just more noise? Because those are two very different problems with very different solutions, I would say.
Yeah, there is definitely more noise because everyone talks about building new products. Not all of the people who talk about building new products are actually building. That's true. So this is just noise. But at the same time, we do see more companies being and products being built since it's just got so easy to do so. So I do agree we have more competition, but this competition is slightly different as you observed. This competition is more is basically all over the place. It's not going to be a big competitor who has a big budget and they're going to do a huge promotion and take over your entire part of the market. But you might have 20 different solutions having something similar to yourself. So I think what we're fighting for the attention of our audience. And they don't really care if this is noise or competition. Like, I don't think everyone sees the difference. If it's noise, it's also something that takes portion of someone's attention. So we are competing with noise, and this is the reality. We have yet another brilliant solution that just was announced, or yet another podcast, or yet another event series, community, trend. There's so many different things to choose from. So it's just fight for the attention. It's way worse than what we talked about when social media became a thing, that we fought for the attention across different algorithms. Now we we have to fight inside the algorithm and all the AI possibilities. So it's like double the noise
Yeah.
nowadays, which brings me to a place that I can call myself very privileged in this case, because the more competition there is, the more marketing is needed. Because since we have so many different products, everyone will have the same problem. Like, how do I differentiate? How do I
Sure.
make sure that my products stand out in this crazy world we live in?
Wow.
So yeah, I think like this is really great time to be a marketer.
Yeah.
Anyone feels threatened by AI that you don't have a future because there are so many different tools.
Yeah.
I would pause for a second and look around and see, okay, if everyone can build, it means everyone will need to find their way to the right audience.
Yeah. I think you're hitting the nail on the head, and it's not just in tech and SaaS. I think we've gone full circle. Do you remember when, I at least remember when internet really picked up, like YouTube and Facebooks of the world. And one of the interesting things that happened on YouTube is that a lot of the folks that ended up watching certain channels was because of the fact that they were very unique. There was something unique about them. It was either a gaming streaming channel, or it was like some vlogger traveling into different countries and eating and trying food. They all had their unique taste and flavor into that conversation. What AI has done, and I was talking about this yesterday, is a great equalizer. It has given everybody the ability to talk about certain things with no depth, but a lot of words, a lot of noise, as you're saying. But the problem is, what really would set everybody apart, and I agree with you, it's the best time to be allowed to be a marketer, is just be authentic. Give me an example. I'll give you an example of like Wolf of Wall Street. When the movie came out into the mainstream, people started to understand. They always knew that the sales tactics were like this, but you start to get a better idea of sales tactics. Like, oh, this is how they try to sell you. They push the product down your throat, or read the book like How to Win Friends and Influence. So if I keep saying Basia, 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 there is a neurotoxin that actually and of course your frontal lobe, it just recognizes the fact that you're saying your word repeatedly and you gain trust. It's tactics people understand and realize. Your brain is now more primed to actually recognize these patterns. So it's an interesting time, and I think this is one of those moments where if you want to do anything, be yourself.
You can.
Just be yourself. Like, just not use slop. Like, literally, just don't use slop. Say what you got to say. And I think you'll get the eyeballs that you're looking for, because people are sick, tired of all this different noise that is coming in, and it looks pretty much the same exact thing.
I do agree. And at the same time, you can do everything, but you can also do nothing. And this is like the dark side of all the opportunities that we have. And I think this is also what funders struggle with. Since you can do everything, you can also do nothing, and you get yet another brilliant idea, but you see 10 different, 10 of your friends chasing the same thing. And then you say, oh, maybe I'm not going to do it. So I think in these times we live in, it's so important to just push forward. And I don't think there is a better example than you, Said, because you are the biggest, the most persistent person I know. And I really admire you being so crazy about the projects that you have. Messy Growth wouldn't exist if you wouldn't push it so much to happen. And this is what I see among founders. If they have the drive,
yes,
they have the, even the energy, like they just have to want to do it. And if they don't have it internally, you can be the best advisor and the best fractional, whatever. You are not going to give them what they need, because they have to push it for it themselves. Obviously, opportunities everywhere, but passion and energy for it is also so important.
100%. Thank you for that. I just want to say that I don't want to bash people who are working for like with other folks or companies, because I kind of feel like, like my mom used to say, if everyone's smart, no one's smart. We need folks, that are working at companies in order to scale those companies, because those are the driving engines of those particular companies. But I think that if you're a founder, let's say trying to go fractional, which is semi-founder because you're doing your own thing, it requires an obscene amount of energy, persistence. Like you said, you got to be able to do all those different things. You can't just say, well, you know what? I don't like doing this. Sorry, you got to find leads.
Nobody else.
You got to network, and you got to ask people for referrals, because if you don't ask, you're not going to get it. So it is fantastic when you build it up. But then if you think about it, just about everything is fantastic when you build it. It's fantastic to have 1 million followers, but you have to shovel shit to get to that 1 million followers, right? And then you can go ahead and I don't know, coast and be by the beach with your MacBook Pro or whatever. But that takes time.
It
I
takes
think is a critical
time,
component.
and I think you have to be even slightly shameless about it. Like, I'm not
Sure.
care about anything. I would just like push my idea, and if someone doesn't reply, and by the way, I see it everywhere. If someone just finishes the outreach, emailing someone once, then this is
Sure.
really an outreach. So you have to be very persistent, and if you keep asking, keep following, and sometimes you might end up making a decision that will be someone will not like, and this is fine. This is
Sure.
fine. Because not everyone has to love you,
Yeah.
but you are just doing your thing.
Yeah.
So being persistent, a bit of shameless, not thinking about how everyone will perceive me, but thinking about the success of my
Sure.
idea is more here.
Yeah, no, I love your checklist. I think it's important before you go into it. Try to figure out if this is for you. Possibly it is, maybe it's not. Either way, both options are fine. But I think the most important thing is not catastrophic.
Yeah.
You can, like you'll, nobody would, I think it's what, coming back to Mick, he says that like 6 out of 10 projects I do, they fail. But it's one hell of a story. But what makes me better than most people, but I will continue to try new projects. And I love that. I love that. I love that. You got to just keep moving forward and have stories to tell, because at the end of the day, that's what matters. I want to dig to Fraction. There's a lot of stuff I want to go to. And one question that I've been thinking of, you know how Henry Ford said people don't really know what they want and need? They might have an idea of a pain, but they don't exactly know how to solve it. That's one of the reasons why we have a lot of the services. When a founder says, I need go-to-market help, what are they usually actually asking for, and how different is that from what they actually need?
This is crazy. The go-to-market word right now means everything. This is my favorite buzzword. Nobody's. It's because I do also use it for describing my own.
We all do, yeah.
things. Obviously, you use it as well, but at the same time, I love that it got so popular, because it basically means people starting treating business more as a whole and trying
100%.
to combine different departments to achieve one goal. And since I used to do product marketing, and that was my sole purpose in to organizations, and product marketing is always and has been the center of any go-to-market. So I come from a place when go-to-market was to me a strategy, a business strategy, understanding who your audience is, really putting all the different pieces together. But at the same time, there is part of our industry that when they hear go-to-market, they will think, oh, so this is like sales, or it's about reaching the audience by different tools. Some, when they hear go-to-market, they actually think about just tools or just automation, and this is fine. Yeah, I think the buzzword that I hear go-to-market is just becoming more and more popular, but I love it. It definitely gives you, it shows that we are becoming more collaborative, which is great. Yeah. I think I missed the question that actually you had in the beginning.
No, I'm just curious, like, founders, let me give you an example. You worked at a lot of companies, and sales teams would say, hey, it's the lead's fault. It's the marketing's fault that the leads are bad.
Yes.
Okay, maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I know that more times than not, it is not true. And then, marketing would say, well, it's the sales fault. They're not the one doing a good job. So you naturally don't exactly know where the problem really lies. And if you talk about the term go-to-market, and naturally there is a founder, say for X million dollars in recurring revenue they're doing, and they're like, you know what, let's bring in a fractional person, help us diagnose this problem, try to figure out where in the go-to-market lies the problem. Yeah. That's a pretty loaded term. Like, what do they need versus what they're looking for is kind of like, Mars and Kathmandu, two very different things altogether.
And I think this is the most frequent thing that happens. At least this is my example when founders come to me they think they want something very specific, but once we talk, once we do the first call, we end up with entirely different thing they need. So that's why all of those external people going into your organization is so crucial, because they can look at your problem from different perspective and actually help you help you identify what the problem is. And I think with my role, I call it fractional CMO, fractional head of marketing, but sometimes I end up doing sales because this is what the company need. Sometimes I end up working with products slightly more. Sometimes it's going to be a bit of design because they don't have a designer, but I know a bit of it. So it really, really depends. And I think we have to stay very open and flexible if you want to be fractional or be an advisor. Just like I said in the beginning, you come as a specialist, as an expert, but you sometimes end up being a partner, a colleague, a friend to your funder, because they just need to talk something through. And your goal will be to help them identify, name it, and then create a game plan, how to tackle this together. So I do agree. Funders, they think they come with something very specific, then things change. But this is what we are for as well. But you don't always have to, by the way, I don't want to be like pushing all the funders, like go and find yourself an advisor. I don't think like that's the message we have here. The message is that it's worth talking with someone and sharing your ideas and getting feedback. So this could be local community. This could be your best friend you talk with every time you have another business idea. Or this could be someone in your company. You don't have to go and hire an advisor. You can ask someone to be your mentor. It's also fine. I just wouldn't spend too much time in your own head thinking about the next move just with yourself. And I know now it's so common to just go and talk with AI, and obviously it's going to give you lots of great answers and ideas.
Please don't do that.
It's a way. I think it's at least worth trying, but then a human will be less nice to you. And yes, you'll not hear you're brilliant or this is a brilliant idea, Said. But you might hear like, this is really bad, don't do it. Do it slightly differently. So someone who can really give you honest feedback is just a person you should speak with.
Yeah, or attend the growth meetup.
I mean,
meet interesting people, right?
Obviously.
For the most part. It's interesting. I want to give you an example of the previous companies to work for Hubstaff. The way I got hired at Hubstaff, I knew the founders before, but they brought me in to actually assess the person they had just hired for sales. And they were like, hey, this is how we got a dude. He's based out of India, wants to do outbound for us. Can you check to see if he's legit? I spoke to him, and literally I had the call next day with Dave. I was like, yo, no, we can do this better in a better. He was like, okay, so can you start and just do that? Sure, I could go ahead and start. And that company, like, you ballooned into something massive and we exited out. That's all there is. They don't know.
Example, this is amazing.
Yeah, you just got to be curious. Go in, try to figure out whatever the opportunity is. Like you said, like, it doesn't matter. Sales, whatever. You don't know what will become of it. Just run with it. Things usually, like you said, start fractional. If you want to do something else, these things start to become more clear as you go along. Maybe sometimes very quick, maybe sometimes not. But persistence at the end of the day is kind of like the Band-Aid on top that is keeping everything together. So
yeah, and we can even take it a step. We can even think about it when we look for a job. And I think I had it in your interview, if I'm not mistaken, in who I hire. And I had this idea from Mick as well in the past that when you are looking for a job or even when you're looking for clients, just go and ask. Like, don't wait for the job advertisement or like nobody is going on LinkedIn and saying, I'm looking for a fractional. Like, I can be 100% clear.
You could try that.
I mean, you can try, but there are no such, best opportunities are not on the market. You have to create them yourself. Sure. And the same goes for full-time roles. And the same goes for fractional freelance, like whatever kind of amazing idea you have. So I think you actually said it, and I said it as well. Like, just go when you see a company with potential for yourself, just go and write to them and pitch your idea. And you may land an advisor first, you may be a mentor first, but then you can become the C-level of the company in 1 year.
Yeah, but like, you have to kind of like, I understand assessing pros and cons a lot of us are cautious. We don't want to come off aggressive. That's how we behave and perform in a certain way. But what's the flip side of this? If you don't ask, the answer is just a no. If you
Yeah.
can if you're ready to put that on LinkedIn that you're going for fractional, why wouldn't you want to? And that's a passive way to do it. Why wouldn't you want to be a little bit more inquisitive? Hey, look at companies that are doing something. It's like, hey, I can help you with that. You may never know where the opportunity comes from, but it will sure as hell never come in if you don't put yourself out there and be inquisitive. So, like you said in the very beginning, and I wrote it down, the shame factor, eliminate that because
Yes.
shame, it's a
There's
defense mechanism.
no shame in business. And
No, absolutely not. Like, don't be an asshole. I don't think that's
I mean,
right.
yeah, that's
Um,
fine. And I
Yeah.
see it, and I have a great privilege of testing and building this muscle
Yeah.
when I run Growth Meetup, because one of the things I do, I look for speakers and partners. And when I do it, like, I'm the most shameless person in the room. I just reach out to people and I offer them opportunity. But for some, it might be, okay, like, I don't want to be your speaker. Like, I want to partner
Okay.
with you, and it's fine. And like,
Yeah.
nobody's losing anything from this conversation. You just learn about great opportunity. You might mention me to someone one day. And the same with me. Like, I know that you might not be interested, but maybe you will in 1 year, and I will definitely reach out. So yeah, like, just don't think about this in business. It's not dating.
Yeah.
I think this is important to understand. It's not you don't have to stress as much as you, let's say,
Yeah.
not messaging someone and asking for
Yeah.
a date. It's just business. So
Yeah.
no, it's fine.
Yeah. Just to kind of like loop this off a little bit. Nobody cares at the end of the day. They're not sitting
Yes.
there thinking, oh, Basia messaged me. Oh my God, the words she used. Nobody cares. Just go
Nobody
do your
cares.
thing. Whatever going to help you. Like I said, don't lie. Don't use the shortcuts. Never do that. Don't put the ice slap. If you really genuinely believe you can help a company do something, advance your movement or whatever, Jax, go for
Right.
it.
Go for it.
Sky's the limit. Talking about the journey of fractional, I want to ask something that I believe would be very helpful for people who are starting out. A lot of companies, you walk into them, they have no marketing foundation. They do things, they have customers, they have revenue, fantastic, but there is no foundation out there. How do you figure out where to start? What does that week one actually look like in practice?
Yeah, week one is basically talking with everyone, talking with the founder, talking with the team, talking with the customers. That's like number one. If you want to get the foundation right, you have to understand your audience. So when I start working with any company, any startup, I do two things. I try to get as much as possible from founder's head, all the things he never wrote down, all the things she never shared with anyone, but all the things that keep being inside the head, I want to get it out, write it down, and use it for building the strategy. And then the customer and the market. So you cannot only go and sit in front of the screen, speak a bit with the founder, speak with a team, speak with your chat or Claude. You have to go to the market. So the best thing is to listen to sales calls, or use your AI to get the insights from sales calls, but make sure you are getting the primary data right from the actual human conversations that were held around your product you were trying to help with. Right? So yeah, understand the customer, understand the audience, build the ICP if you can at this point. Sometimes when startup is really early in their journey, there might not be enough data to create a solid ICP, data customer profile, which is fine. Then this gives you a great opportunity that you can go and maybe do some outreach yourself and try to speak with potential audience and get this first insights yourself. So don't sit in your bubble, go out there, get the better understanding of the audience, get the insights from the team, and then try to come with all the brilliant marketing ideas, how to reach more people from this audience, but never miss the step. Like, I don't think there's any marketing without really understanding your customers.
Fair enough. There's a school of thought that says build a great product and distribution will follow. You've seen enough companies to know that mostly that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Whoa,
I mean, we
what?
used to say, I'm not sure that was also part in your one of the podcasts you had already, but we used to say that If product is not great, then obviously marketing will not be as well. Like you have to have
Sure.
product, and product was in the center. And now when product is everywhere, it's so easy to clone it, so easy to do something even better. You have to really tackle the distribution, and you really
100%.
have to tackle understanding what's the foundation of the distribution. And you can have the best product in the world, but if you don't have a founder with a drive, so something that we mentioned earlier, solid foundation, so really good understanding of your audience, and then one good idea for distribution, and I'm going to comment on this in a sec, then it's going to be very, very difficult to use your budget wisely. Well, I mentioned one distribution idea because the thing that I see so often, and I also made this mistake multiple times, is just trying to do all the things at the same time. So you start doing events, LinkedIn, fund this brand, paid ads, then let's do community, and let's do sales together with marketing, so sales enablement. Then let's start doing AI search, and then you
Yeah.
like spread yourself. Something like it's crazy, and you are just one person, two people. So as a startup, I would say pick one good thing at the beginning, test it, try to do it for a while, and then if this helps, then try to build another layer and another layer. I don't think it's actually like it's common seeing startup doing like 20 different things and being successful, unless they have a huge investment and VC backing them and lots of money they can spend on hiring and channels. But if you don't, focus on one thing.
Yeah. I mean, even if you do have a lot of investment, you doing a lot of different things would require a lot more data points, which would require a lot more time. And it is just not everything can be as fast. I mean, these things take time, and naturally, like you said, I think to build an ICP, you need to have a data point. If you don't have that, it takes time to go ahead and gather that. So you can't really discount that factor
Exactly.
for the most part. On the topic of AI, last time we spoke, you talked about the power of words being what got you into marketing.
Yeah.
In a world where I feel like, and people can keep me honest, where AI writes most of the words, where does a distinctive brand voice, what does it actually mean now to have that?
Yeah, it got very interesting to the point where I think when at the beginning of this year, I saw that copywriters' jobs and even price of a written word got cheaper. Like I could sense it across different companies, and when I spoke
Sure.
with people, that nobody would value the written word that much. And then something changed. Like now, when I speak with funders and when I work with different companies, everyone already tried being a copywriter. And let me tell you, okay, you can be very fast. You can obviously produce lots of content, but will it be successful? I don't know. Might be for a while, might be for certain things. For certain things, copywriting is it's amazing. But when it comes to positioning, messaging, and really finding your point of view, really understand and really creating something that will make you different from everyone else using the same tools, you have to be slightly more creative. And you can be creative using AI tools. I think this is exactly what they're there for. And we all in marketing use AI to help us be more productive. But the muscles that I mentioned before, like the marketing muscle, the aesthetic, the understanding of some principles, and basically understanding your audience, this is where the power comes from. So now it's not only about choosing words that are sounding nice. Now it's about choosing the words that are coming from your audience. So it just got even more important to making sure that you are speaking the language of your audience, not the beautifully written, perfect English sentences written by grammatically correct AI skills you have set up in Claude. If your audience is not speaking such language, don't do it. Basically, I still believe in this. It just shifted slightly.
Yeah.
And I think it's going into the direction that the best writers would just become even more expensive. Like everyone will write the same. So if you can have something different from someone who really nails it, then it might just become even more
Yeah.
luxurious, if I can call it this way.
I mean, you could try to break this apart in so many ways. My only kind of like negative that I take from AI is that we as a species are flawed. I'll give you an example. To get to the point where, we all use cars, transportation, but to get to the ideal version of cars that we have right now, ideal, quote unquote, for some it may be, for some it's not, but it's sure as hell they're very safe now. It took a lot of iterations for us to get there. Same with computers to get it to this point where literally, I think I was reading that like 10-year-old's iPhone or 12-year iPhones had more computing power than the damn thing that landed on the moon. And it just kind of goes to show you that it takes a lot of iterations for us to get there. What AI tries to do, and it's by no fault of its own, it's literally what it's designed for. It's designed to get you the best version in its world, best version again, quote unquote, as fast as possible. But that's where the ingenuity falls off because humans are flawed. We take a lot of attempts to get to the right version. When it tie that to writing, you write many crappy pieces, crappy, quote unquote, pieces to get to that one ultimate one that has that depth. But you wouldn't have had that if you didn't have those 40
You wouldn't
or
do the
30 fills of
homework.
depth.
Yes.
Yes. That's it. And that's what I think people are missing. Sure, you can write the best copy in the world through it. Yes, but it's going to miss that depth because you need that iteration. You need that. It's talking about the muscle you were talking about earlier. You can't just go ahead and deadlift 200 kilos. It's just not going to work. You can try it, but you have to build your way to that. That's literally the tax that you have to pay for creativity. And coming back to your last point of, the writers will get more expensive. Yeah. And I don't think it's because they can write great words every single time. It's because I think because of the way technology and social networks are now designed, they carry with themselves a certain level of authority. So you're not only buying the words in service, you're also buying the fact that they have that authority. So when they speak, however flawed it may be, it carries a certain weight because it's that person writing it. But what's the AI is missing is that it took them 20, 30 years to build that authority. And now they can go ahead and charge for that. I don't know, ramblings of an old man.
No. Like I think this is so important to talk about it. And I don't think like we're saying like don't use AI. Like I'm saying use AI, and all the great writers are using AI as well. It's about who's using and how they're using AI writing. And right now, when I work with different copywriters as a fractional or advisor, all of them are using AI, and I love it. Like this is what they're using for aggregating data. When they're getting briefs from me or customer conversation, they're taking these things into brainstorming with their chat plots and using, but they know which answer is a good one and which idea they got from their tools is actually the one that has the biggest potential. And you wouldn't know it if you wouldn't do the homework. And something that really I found really fascinating when it comes to AI is learning, and I'm sometimes a bit of worried about if we are still learning, because if you are not doing the learning as you use some of those tools, then some of your muscles will just exercise.
Yeah, because the depth's not there, right? Like you don't have the depth of understanding of the problem. You can speak eloquently about the problem, but you don't have a very deep understanding of the problem.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is like come back to the topic of you can apply that on ICP, you can apply that in marketing and sales. If you don't understand it and you use buzzwords, at some point people will like, okay, go to market. Hey, can you translate that a little bit more in terms of what that is? And then you don't have that capacity and muscle because you don't know the topic well enough.
You have to do the homework. Like even if we have I think there is even more pressure to do the homework right now because you have all those possibilities. So there is no excuse not to do it. Yeah. And a great example for me is when I was the head of product marketing, one of my responsibilities was to be advocate for our customers in the market. Sure. So my goal every single day was to read something that one of our customers said or wrote. And then when we had our leadership meetings, everyone from management came. And I was also invited because they knew I could comment on whatever is best for the customers or what the market speaks about. And you want to have this knowledge as well. You don't only want to be relying on tools and for internet to offer something to the company you work with. You want to have something. You want to have the insight yourself, So if you are using tools for aggregating data, make sure you read what you get, not with the prompt you just gave to your tool, and just don't think everything can be prompt. You still have to also learn what you are getting out of your tools.
This is fascinating stuff. A very important question I wanted to ask you, and please be as honest as you possibly can be. At Brand24, they give you something in the water, right? I mean, it's not a cult, right? There's something in the water that nobody wants to leave that company, right? I mean, that has to be the answer, right?
Yeah, might be. Yeah, might be. Yeah, I love the experience at Brand24. I still hang out with people from the company, and I feel very, very happy I had the chance to work with them. And obviously, every time we have a conversation, I have to mention Brand24. I wouldn't if I were I would myself. I wouldn't. I'm not sure if this is about the water. Maybe it's about something else. But
Sadek is getting free promo off of this podcast.
Right. I mean, I have this thing whenever I work with a company and I love the product, I'll continue using the product forever. So with Brand24, what I did, I changed companies, but then once I landed in another role, I basically bought Brand24 again, and then I changed companies again, and I bought Brand24 again. So whenever I have a chance and I believe in products, I'm just like dragging them with me.
Something is in the water. I know it. I just want last couple of things I want to touch on is very important. You mentioned about segmented things, focusing on certain things. You can't have too many experiments running on at the same time. Obviously, naturally, they would require time. A founder, though, since you work with a lot of them, has limited time, limited budget in a lot of cases, and certainly limited attention. If you follow LinkedIn and experts, they're told to do content, they're told to do community, they're told to do outbound, paid, partnerships, product-led growth all at once. What do you actually tell them to do first?
Understand your audience and understand where it is and go there. Like, this is the simplest and easiest thing you can do, and also the most difficult because your audience might be in different places. But pick the one that is affordable for your budget, because as a startup founder, you don't have big budgets at the beginning. So you have to think about it slightly more long term. If I can sustain trying this channel, let's say, for a couple of weeks, months, then don't pick something you can't really handle. So if you have certain skills and you just have, let's say you are a great speaker, like this is what I do. When I have a founder that's a great speaker, I'm going to push this founder everywhere because this is the skill we have, and we don't have to budget for someone handling PR or speaking. We have a founder who speaks so well. But if you love writing and you hate speaking, but you don't mind writing about your company product, then I'm going to use this skill because as a startup advisor of Fractional, founders are also part of the marketing team. And this is the reality. Like, if you are a founder, like, you have to do marketing at some point. It's going to change. You're going to hire a bigger team and you don't have to do it. But at the beginning, you are the main salesperson, the main product person, and the main marketing person, even if you have someone helping you up. So look at the skills we have inside internally, leverage this, check where your audience is, go there, and then scratch 80% of ideas you have and only pick 10-20% of ideas, the best one, and try to run it as a growth bet. And I like to call it bets because you never know if this is a good idea when you have a startup. You might have experiences from other companies that something worked for them, but they were in an entirely different situation. They had more revenue, or they had less revenue. They were past product market fit. They were before product market fit. There are like different scenarios, and you really have to understand every time you work with a startup, it's going to be different. You are taking your muscles with you. You are taking your sense, your business acumen, but you are not taking 100% 100% things that are true for this business with you. So you have to stay flexible.
Great advice. One last thing. I'm not sure if you've seen the movie Gladiator, but it's my favorite movie of all times. And there is one thing that Maximus says in there: what you do in your life echoes in eternity. If you think about it, you let that sentence sit with you, it says a lot. I mean, it kind of like gives you a template, so to speak, of what you want to do in your life, whatever those values are for you. Try to tie that back over here. You've not been on both sides, in-house, fractional, building your own thing. There is someone listening to this right now who is exactly where you were before you made that jump to fractional. They're talented, probably frustrated. They're on the fence. You talked about doubt. They might have that. They probably are scared. Why wouldn't they be? Not a failure necessarily, but of backing themselves and try to figure out whether or not they are worthy of that bet. What do you want them to take away from your journey? Not that highlight real version, the actual real version
Yeah.
of this.
I can give those people a really good exercise. I actually did when I was thinking about what this big question, what I want to do with my life, or like, what I want to continue in house. Do I want to build something of my own? Where are my strengths? And I learned it from my friend. She did it as well. She called 5 different people that knows her really well, and I did the same thing. I messaged a few people that worked with me in the past or just know me really well as a person, as a working person, not maybe your best friend who you hang out with and drink, but
Basia's the
really,
best.
that's the one who really knows how you behave in a business scenario, and ask them questions. And I asked them, what do you think are my strengths? What do you think are the skills that are so unique, only I have them? Or there's a really good question you can ask that's basically give you the best answer is, what would you recommend me for if someone would ask for a specific thing?
That's
So
good.
let's say if someone would ask, who would be a great podcast host, or who would be a great, someone handling, some speaking and events or sales, I would say like, obviously Side is a great person. And then you keep learning, and from 5 different people, you can go more, you can go and speak with 10 people, and you get those insights from outside, and you start seeing a very clear picture. Okay, so it seems people are thinking that I'm, let's say, very observant, and I see
Sure.
things somebody else doesn't see. And then maybe they mention, oh, you are very data driven. Maybe you really are detail oriented and you know how to go and analyze something and get very interesting insights out of the business. And then they say, you are also a great speaker. So I really think you should go out there and speak more. And you take all of those strengths and you think, okay, so what can I cook out of these 3 different skills and strengths that I have? And then you can come up with an idea. Let's say it's going to be your own business. It can be an agency. You want to maybe go and build something else. You want to start a podcast, really depends. And then you go once again and you speak with your friend's colleague, and you basically ask them for feedback.
Yeah.
And the third one will be just go and sell it. So something that I mentioned before. If you come up with an idea for yourself based on all the strengths and things you learn from your network, go and try to sell it. And if you actually successfully manage to sell it, and try to run it for a few months and then see if you like it. If you like it, continue. If you don't, iterate and just treat it as any other product and business.
Fantastic stuff, Basia. As always, this is great. I think the only thing I would add to that is whatever that might end up being, whatever path you take, I just hope that a lot of energy of yours is ready to go in there, and you feel energized working on it. Because
yes,
if you don't follow your energy, it's just going to be tough. Like then it just becomes a chore. So I hope that you actually enjoy that. I mean, if you don't, I hope you fall in love with that and try to enjoy that. That's ultimately going to help.
If you don't like it more than the previous thing you did, then it's probably not the best next steps. But also don't get too discouraged. Just keep trying and look for another thing. And obviously it's not gonna be all shiny. Like some parts of doing this will not be that interesting. Like I'm not the biggest fan of like creating contracts, but still I do it because this is part of the work that I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if the majority of the business world you created for yourself works for you and give you satisfaction, then it's probably a good step.
Fantastic stuff, Basia. Thank you so much. I, as always, will be keeping my fingers crossed. Cheering from the sidelines and wishing you nothing but success.
Same wise. I'm
Absolutely.
keeping my fingers crossed for messy growth. Guys, make sure to subscribe if you are not yet subscribed.
Notice I didn't say that. I've never said that.
I did. No, like honestly, I can't wait for all the other episodes. And I just, by the way, I love seeing people from Growth Meetup coming to Messy Growth and having an opportunity to talk about their stories. So
there's so many there, and I hope that they all come and have a chat with me because I'll love to speak to them. And I can't wait for you guys to be here in Warsaw or in Wrocław, where we'll meet up again and the event. So, Basia, thanks so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
so much.
Take care. See ya.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.